See if we could get everybody back in. What happened? We crashed?
Yeah, crashed. It said, "Thank you for joining us," and went off.
Okay, let's get everybody back. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah, a little technical difficulty. Apologize. Sister's amazing. I love amazing people like this, man. It inspires me, bro.
Mm-hmm. Let's get the Black Fairy Godmother back in.
Yeah, they're filing in. They're starting to file in.
Okay. Says she's unable to join.
She says, "I'm here."
All right, let me send you another request.
Come out and go back in. There she go.
There she go. All right. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. We had some
Instagram won't let amazing people be great tonight.
Yeah. we talking solutions. That's why.
Right. They're like, cut.
Stop that. That's crazy.
Where did we leave off at though? We were talking about what was it about the corporations? We were talking about corporate money.
Oh, volunteers. I think it was volunteers.
The volunteers is 4 to 5 hours a week, and many of them wear big hats because they come from, they have different titles, and some of them are lawyers, doctors, paralegals, teachers. So they all have different jobs because every family that comes to us don't always ask for money, and they don't ask for a bill to be paid. Their kid might need shoes, their kid may need a laptop, or they might need a bed. So we're able to provide that, or medical assistance. We have some families, because they have Medicaid, they're not able to get wheelchairs. So we've been buying wheelchairs for different special need families as well.
Look at that.
Wow. Y'all covering all bases, man. I'm loving this, B.
That's what I mean by the lived experience. When when you've been through it, you know what the people need.
What people need. That's right.
Now, y'all gotta excuse me earlier. I had some problems with my audio. It kept zapping out. Now, I don't know if y'all covered it or asked the question or not, but can you tell us if HBCUs or even the students of HBCUs, reached out to you?
They have. There was a young lady from Spelman who actually started an initiative to do some tutoring. She came to us and stated that she wasn't able to, pay her tuition. So I raised $6,000 in 3 hours on my social media platform last year. So she is going to school to be a psychologist. But what she done was she has like a chain letter with different HBCUs, a lot of teachers who can not only tutor the kids, but tutor the mothers who need GEDs. So we've been working that out lately.
Melanie Holmes says, do you have a grant writer?
We do have a grant writer currently.
Okay. What's your thoughts like? Do you prefer to have like your fundraising efforts, or would you prefer to deal with grant writing and contracts?
A little bit of both. I like to be, sometimes I do like to be in the mix because I like the experience of making sure that somebody is being fed right then and there or housed right then and there. Mm-hmm. But we also have grant writers who help us also fund other programs that we have, especially our Fairy Dust Scholarship and our Domestic Violence Fund. Because, a lot of college kids are going to school and they're going to school without nothing, or their parents a penny pitcher. Mm-hmm. So we try our best to get funding as possible for education efforts. But to answer your question, a little bit of both. But it's very tricky because, sometimes with those grants and contracts, some of the grant writers, they want more than what the foundation is asking for in funding, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I was thinking the same thing. Like the grants, I think, are great. And I think the contracts are great also, but when you start getting into the world of grants and contracts, that comes the criteria sort of, they drill down on it and it becomes a lot more rigid. You know, there should be some watchful eyes, but like I was saying before we got cut off, I think that sometimes when you put those other intangibles in place, it makes it much more difficult for people to actually access the resources. You know, like sometimes you get bogged down. There are hundreds of people that sit around a huge table and talk about how to get things done. And then there are people like you that's like, well, I don't need to talk about how to get it done. I'm just going to go do it. Like somebody's hungry, I'm going to feed them. And there are other people people that sit around and think about like, okay, so how do we get these people fed? Meanwhile, while you sat around and you thought of a brilliant idea on how to get all these things done, millions of people have went hungry or in facing these hardships as a result of you not acting. So sometimes it's easier to act than to actually sit down and be strategic. Not to say that that it's not a value to be strategic, but a lot of times when you get bogged down in those kind of things, it adds an additional layer that makes the process a lot more complex.
Absolutely.
Now, the other thing I'm wondering is that in this day and age, social media is an interesting tool. There are so many people that use social media for horrible things, but you use social media primarily as one of your fundraising efforts. What are some of the pros and cons to fundraising via social media?
The cons are some people get fatigued. Some people get depressed on seeing certain situations that they're not able to help with. So the pros to that is I go, okay, you might not have the money, but if you have over 1,000 followers on your Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok, whatever you're doing, you can make a video and share somebody's fundraiser or Amazon and challenge people to buy 1 or 2 items off of a list.
Worse.
And then you get some people who get on my social media and go, well, why you only deal with the Black community? Black people are not the only ones who are going through. And, I get those. And when I break it down to them and I start talking about, systematic racism and everything that you could think of in the history book, everything that Google is trying to erase from our history, they get quiet. Those are the pros and cons.
Those are taboo topics, though. You know that, right? A lot of the reasons why you're in the process or your work exists is because of that, right? So people don't want to have that conversation. If we address that, then would there really
open up another can of worms?
Yeah, and they get quiet. They go, she ready tonight. And I'll be ready.
What's the criteria? What's the criteria to qualify for assistance?
There's basically no criteria as long as you have a state ID or driver's license. We must verify you and have an interview with you, video call. We have to have full documentation of what your situation is. If you have a bill, if you have a lease, everything must be paid directly towards the rental company. If you need food, we will supply the food and toiletries as long as you supply us with the list. If you have dietary restrictions, we will honor that. So everything must be documented. We have to review it every Wednesday. And, there's so many people in need. They go, well, I DM you. You have to go through an application process because, there are IRS regulations because we are a public charity. And, we are a Black-led organization. And there's a lot of things that come along with that. So we want to continue to be GuideStar Platinum Seal approved. We want to continue to have all the funding that we can to support our community, but we have to do the right thing. And some people don't understand. I had an elderly woman who said she needed food. I can give you the food, but I can't give you the money. And, sometimes we do give out money, but that's for like if someone needs transportation or a Metro card. Those are little things that we can write off of. But if it's like $1,000 that you need to buy a car, we can't assist with that, unfortunately.
Your DMs must be on fire.
Every day. But I still, even though I might not be able to help somebody right then and there, me and my team, we still will DM back within 24 to 48 hours and provide encouraging words and say, we're not able to assist you as long as you go with the application process, or the application process has been closed. But if you need emergency assistance, like urgent, where it's a shut-off notice, or you need food right then and there, or emergency housing, we will also have a peer assistance who will reach out in your community, see who else may have funds, because we sometimes run out of funds quarterly. But we will be able to make that call. I'm always not letting people off the hook. I want to make sure that they have a place to stay. And sometimes we don't have the money for hotels all the times, but we do contact extended stay where we have a partnership with, and they will house a family up to 10 days at least.
Yeah, that's a great partnership to have.
Sounds like a well-oiled machine to me, man. Real. Talk about the partnership with Tory Burch. Tory Burch Foundation.
You never know who's watching. Tory,
right.
You never know. Tory Burch, I never knew she was donating to the platform. She honored me along with 4 other women for Women's International Month. And she honored me as helping many marginalized families during the pandemic. And she thought that I was so dope in the way I'm doing it without anything. She and her team wanted to give me $5,000. Instead, I spoke to my publicist at the time, Mr. Angelo Ellaby, and I said, can they help me create a fairy dust scholarship program? And he's like, you're going to tear down $5,000 and you got a son? I said, yes. I said, let me go along with this. I'm graduating out of college, and many women don't get that. There are one-stop centers, but it takes you up to a year to get that grant to go back to school. So I want to be able to help certain women to get trades or go to a community college by providing the funds for them and having to go straight to that college or straight to that trade school. Or if you want a certificate of being a CNA, or you want to be, a real estate agent, you won't have to go through the hoops of going through the one-stop center. Keep going every day to see a counselor who's just going to give you the same sad story all the time. Let me help a woman or a man who's experiencing trauma and they're trying to make a way and they're trying to do the right thing by their family. Let me help them. Put that $5,000 towards the Fairy Dust Scholarship Program, and let's grant wishes. So she says, since you're a good mom, won't you grant those wishes on Mother's Day? And that's what I've done.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I just went along with it.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's super dope, man. That's super dope.
Where do you see yourself for the next 3 to 5 years with everything that you're doing right now?
Well, I'm working on a transitional house because plenty of shelters, what they do is that they only house you for 30 days, but we want a transitional house for 90 days so that the families is able to get jobs and they're able to get the help that they need, and also some other resources. I will be graduating hopefully in 2 to 3 years with my bachelor's in public health, because I want to go further and working deep within the community, because social media may not be forever. So I want to make sure before I leave this earth that I achieve all the things that I wanted to for my people much as possible.
Yeah,
and you will.
What is your family think of this? Like, I'm sure you get family support, but what's your family? Are they surprised? Like, wow, we didn't see this coming from you, or wow,
baby girl making some moves out there.
My parents didn't know, like they knew that I was going hard for many families because of what I had encountered. My parents are my rock. They saw me go through the nervous breakdowns. They saw me go through fighting with hospitals and doctors and going back and forth to the welfare office in Newark trying to get food stamps. They saw that. But now my dad is like, it's really real. And my mom is like, well, maybe the people do need you. And when they see me on TV and they see me on the Kelly Clarkson show and the Peacock show on NBC, and they go, like, you're really, really advocating for our people, and your grandmother should be proud. Yeah.
Making an impact. And that's so dope, man. That is.
Yeah.
What's the most outlandish request? Because I'm sure, like I said, them DMs are probably, what's the most outlandish request you've ever gotten from somebody?
There was a woman who asked for me to fund her and her husband's wedding in Mexico. And she believes that that is emergency assistance because she needs to marry him soon as possible, because, you know, that's the love of her life. And I said, we're emergency assistance. She said, well, I need to marry him because, you know, he's about to be 18. And I said, listen, young lady, we're emergency assistants. We cannot help. And the second one, my public relationship team, we got a request for plastic surgery. A woman wanted to have a mommy makeover. And I said, if I can't have a mommy makeover, you can't have a mommy makeover. So those are the two things we got.
Look, you know what? I learned a long time ago, though, if you don't ask, the answer's always no. I just think that people need to understand, though, what constitutes an emergency. Perhaps you should have on your website, these things constitute an emergency. These things don't.
I'm going to do that because, you know, you be surprised. I get, you know, people want rims and cars, and they actually think I'm the Black Fairy of the hood, and I'm like, no.
Let me ask my godmother, right?
All the time. All the time.
And you know what? I wonder if those are plants, because the moment you start funding stuff like that, then you know they're gonna be like, yo, look, this organization is putting rims and spinners and buying jewelry instead of actually feeding people, you know, like the mission says. So don't fall for none of those plants. That's not for people that's watching. If you contact Simone, that stuff does not constitute an emergency.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No BBL, no getting your teeth done. No. I'm not doing that.
But Christmas time, I did grant 500 kids across America who's marginalized with HP and Apple laptops. That I did.
That's nice.
What? We did. Yeah, we did wish list angels. Each kid get 3 to 4 items that they wish for. And kids were getting that virtual reality game that was like $400. Some were getting laptops, but this is wish list because some families can't afford it. And people all over, you know, grant those wishes for those kids. And there's videos, there's testimonials, like, and parents were crying because they're like, I couldn't give those kids that, but Black Fairy Godmother did. And then that's when all the requests came in. Can you help me get plastic surgery, rims for my car, wedding? And I'm like, no, that was just for beautiful Black and brown kids during Christmas. You are a grown woman. No.
Miss Davis said teeth might be an emergency. I'm sorry, Miss Davis. I guess teeth are an emergency. I guess you need the teeth fixed.
Okay.
Ask your godmother, she might give it to you. What are some of the greatest obstacles you've come across and then later triumph from?
That's a good question. A major obstacle that I encountered was there was a mom who came out of jail, and nobody, even some of the resources I had, nobody was able to help her and her kids get a place. She wasn't even able to get a job. It took us 7 months to get her stabilized.
Was that the longest?
That's the longest. We never encountered that, and it was because of the felony she had.
Okay.
People on social media don't understand. So when I reached out for people to help with her expungement, to help with the place, everybody was looking at her like she's Freddy Krueger, like she wasn't a human being. Right. You know, everybody have done something wrong in their life. It's just that we haven't gotten caught, right?
That's a fact.
You know? So I just felt as though instead of thinking about that woman's record or whatever the hell is on paper, what about the kids?
Right.
But it took me 7 months, and she talks about me day in and day out through media, through friends, through family, through Facebook. I stayed up every night with this young lady, and we wrote a vision board, and we visioned on everything that she's going to accomplish. She just got promoted at her job as a shift supervisor.
Nice.
Her kids are living well.
Look at that.
She got her GED.
Look at
you
that.
know, she's looking forward to going into some sort of medical field. So you just never know. But that was the greatest obstacle I ever had, every night just praying after I helped get my son to bed.
You know,
how to help this woman, you know.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, talk about the necessity of encouragement. You have to keep encouraging somebody that something's going to happen in 7 months' time, and you get it turned around. And you put a powerful quote by Arthur Ashe: "From what we get, we can make a living, but from what we give, we can make a life." And I think that's a testament for that right there, man. You changed that
My
girl's life.
grandmother gave me that quote. Yeah, my
Shout out to
grandmother used to say that quote.
Shout you out, Grandma.
Yeah, she like, because she liked the tennis, so and Arthur Ashe was her
Arthur Ashe.
man,
Nice,
yeah.
nice. That's what's up. That was dope. That was a dope quote.
Yeah, so that's what I live by.
Can you tell us the importance of STEM and how it can help push this generation and the next generation? And do you have multiple or any STEM projects that you're working on now or in the future?
I don't have any STEM projects currently, but I am working along with my partner to see what we can do in the future. And, in regards to more projects to come.
Yeah. Ash Hilaire says, "What are some future partnerships that are on your wish list?"
My future partnership that's on my wish list, I really would like a partnership with Amazon, even though they shut me down. I would love to have a future partnership with Target, because we initially started before Amazon, the Target Wishlist Angels, which was helping with dry food and toiletries and Christmas for kids. Target is one. I would like to try to get partnerships with some of the Black-owned companies out there who have many skin and healthcare products, and even some people who have vegan products as well.
I have one in mind.
Really? No, and also, I want to try to have a partnership with a bank. I know that computers is taking over, but we really need to teach our kids in elementary financial literacy, and maybe have them open up some bank accounts and teach them how they could save their money so that they can grow, and teach them how to invest in stock market. And, a lot of people don't talk about Black Wall Street and, Central Park, where Black Wall Street was there until they turned it over to, Central Park. So I really would like to, so I want to partner with a bank so that we can go into certain communities and try to do like a tour where certain schools will be nominated to teach them financial literacy and to open up some bank accounts for them.
Yeah.
That's super dope.
Yeah.
That's super dope.
Well, one thing, I'm not an organization, but one thing I can do that I'd be willing to pledge on my end is that, my mom recently passed away in December, and Christmas was her favorite holiday. And for years, myself and my siblings, we've always gotten together, and, we've done like different charitable efforts where we would work with after school centers and give gifts and stuff like that. But we've always talked about adopting a family for the holidays, because we've been fortunate enough to be blessed. So I would commit, I'm willing to commit to us adopting a family and making sure that a family, a family that you identify, has a Christmas this year. So after we get off, I'll make sure I share with you my contact information to make that happen, because I think that, there are a lot of people in circumstances that you'd be surprised the things that we take for granted, that, to give them the opportunity to have it could be life-changing. That's something that definitely that I'm willing to do for your organization.
Thank you so much. Like, you will love it. And if you have a chance, you can go back to my Instagram and see all the families. There were even some families having Christmas in hotels, but long as their children had it, that's all that mattered to them. Yeah,
I know it means so much to people, and to be able to have the opportunity to give that to somebody would mean a lot to me, and it would mean a lot to my mom, also. So
that's dope.
Yeah, commit to.
That's dope, Sha, for real. That's dope.
Thank you.
I don't have any more questions, man. We can freestyle a little bit.
It's just to me, it's such an amazing cause. I'm refreshed, like when the opportunity came across, my email, to have a conversation with you, and to having looked at your work from afar and what you're doing for the community. Like, it's something that I definitely appreciate. I don't know how often you hear thank you But you know, I
Bro,
thank you.
you gotta see
I
these.
thank you
You
for
gotta see these testimonials, bro. Read these
yeah.
Thank you.
testimonials, bro.
Yeah, I thank you for what you're doing because, like I said earlier, you know, there are many people that are sitting around in boardrooms that are trying to figure out how to do the things that you just decided this is just something that I'm going to do. And the fact that you went to the action phase and actually acted on these things, I'm sure you've changed so many lives from, you know, preventing people from being homeless, preventing people from going hungry, preventing people from their lights going off, you know, helping people get into school, making
It's
sure
that
that people get out of
TD.
domestic violence situations. Like these are things that people never forget. And you know, I'm happy to hear in your own personal life also that you're excelling and you're doing well and you're gonna get your degree. And you know, I'm looking forward to watching your journey and seeing you go even further and seeing you grow your organization and being able to say, we once spoke to the Black Fairy Godmother. So Simone Gordon on
Yes.
the No Ideas Original
Yes.
podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would love to come back on with no problem.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely. We would love to have you, sis. God bless you. You've inspired me. You know, my pops passed in February too, and my sister nominated me to start a men's ministry. And because of the podcast and us speaking, you know, openly to just a plethora of people, I just felt necessary for me to step in and be that lead for a bunch of young men to speak about their insecurities and things that they're not able to speak about. So I gave my story, and let me just digress a little bit. I've been dealing with kidney disease for the last 12 years or so, and
Mm,
it ain't been easy.
right.
But being able to get that story out allowed them to tell their story. You know what I mean? All my trials and tribulations with dialysis, you know, having stents and things put in my arm, going through a number of surgeries, so on and so forth. And you would never know looking at me, but when I tell the story, it's like, yo, wow, Rob, you went through that? I said, yes, sir. I'm still dealing with it to this day. You know what I mean? So, you know, I look at you as an inspiration because I believe in giving. I think there's an art to giving. You know, I'd rather give than receive. You know, I don't mind the money. I'm like, yo, I'll pay it forward, man. I'll give it to somebody else who needs
Right.
it. You know what I'm saying? Before I accept it for myself. And it's good. I'm glad I had the opportunity to cross your path, man. God bless you, man.
And not to cut you off, but try to follow someone by the name of Courtney Starks. He also suffered from kidney disease, and he wrote a book about it. And he's a strong young black brother, and I definitely think that he would benefit from being on you guys' podcast as well, because I follow him as well
Definitely.
and his
Okay.
journey.
Good stuff.
So we open the floor if you got a few more minutes for questions. If anybody in the audience has questions and wants to ask you anything. Zane, did you have any other questions?
Well, now correct me if I'm wrong. While you were at Essex, did you study psychology or sociology?
I started with psychology, and then I changed my major over to general science because I was going into public health nursing.
As far as with psychology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us how it while you were you know, with that study, tell us some of the ways that you found ways to not give up and how to navigate and step out yourself and actually collectively see how, you know, you can reshape your future.
I'm going to be honest with you with psychology. I didn't go too much further in it. I started my first year studying psychology, but it was just the general psych 1 and 2. But I felt like psychology, I was already working a customer service job and working at a mall and being around people in my community. I really didn't need psychology because I felt like, you know, through the experiences with my brothers, my sisters, you know, the neighbors, I already had that in me of being street smart and learning how to deal with people who come from different worlds, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
So I got out of psychology. I said, no, my people need me in this field. They need public health. They need more of me in this field. So that's why I switched over.
Okay.
Rob, I'm majestic. I remember Rob gave me his last when I was in need. Love you, bro.
Yo, man, listen, man.
I love it.
When it doesn't matter what I have, and my wife does the same. Like during the pandemic, when no one can go to supermarkets and we keep food, My wife was food prepping, meal prepping for families. You know, I mean, cooking whole meals for weeks. So
We
people
did
can,
too.
you know what I mean? So people can reheat food, or because they didn't have the opportunity to go to the supermarket, they just didn't have. And you know, like I said, we throw parties, we throw little dinners and stuff like that. And she said, you know what, babe, this is what I'm gonna do. And for first responders, her sister was a first responder who was working the craziest hours, but there was a meal waiting for her when she got home. You know what I mean? So I'm about giving, man. I mean, I got life. And someone unfortunately lost their life. So that's y'all looking at me right now. So I'm gonna forever be a giver, bro. For real.
I think we lost her. I think she froze up. We may have
She
lost.
might come back in.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Shout
you.
out, shout out to the homie Gabe. Shout out to Gabe for joining in, man. Shout out to Gabe from Jersey.
But yes, this is a phenomenal individual who her contribution, and what she's actually given to her community is to be commended, especially given in this day and age the amount of heat that community activists are subjected to. In our community activists are subjected to a lot of scrutiny. It's hard for people to accept or believe that people are doing good things without having an ulterior motive in place. And it's unfortunate because I think in other communities, I don't know if people are nearly as cautious or skeptical is a better word, skeptical that funds are being misappropriated and things like that. So, the fact that her organization has high levels of transparency and they show receipts for all the good work that they do is a wonderful thing. The fact that she's been able to have partnerships with corporations where they haven't delegitimized or changed her mission is another wonderful thing, because sometimes we all know when you get in bed with funders and big money comes in, then your mission begins to become curtailed and changed into
it detours.
completely different. You could go from being, a person where you just feeding people to you take a deal with Nike, and the next thing you know is just do it.
Right.
So
it ain't even your tagline or your slogan no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So there's if you think about like the history of grassroots organizers, and that's why I mentioned the Black Panther Party, a lot of people don't realize also that Obama, is somebody who started his career from being a grassroots organizer and a community activist as well. Like, what better way to connect and touch the people than to do it from a grassroots perspective? And I get the impression too that she's out in the community, walking the street, and she's somebody that people could actually interact with. And I think people need folks in these positions that you could reach out to and you could touch, and they have lived experience, and you feel good about them, and their character. The stuff that she does, it should be infectious. Everybody should have an opportunity to say, like, oh, she's doing this, well, why can't I do it? Why can't I help out? Why can't I contribute in some shape, form, and fashion? And some people don't have it financially, but she made a good point. You may not have it financially, but if you got thousands of followers, you have the ability to spread the word to help somebody else out.
And I'm glad you said spread the word, because words are powerful, man. If you got something to say and someone's listening, like she said, someone's always listening, somebody's always watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So make sure you're putting the right energy out there, man, and it'll come back to you, man. For real.
So for
big major shout out to our guest tonight, Simone Gordon. I really would love to see Tyler Perry somehow, some way get wind to her story and put out something about her life. Yeah. And the things she's doing. Because,
any young director or anybody, you know what I'm saying? Someone to really put some real good energy behind her story, man, and so it can shine the right way. Yeah. I think it'll be a good thing.
I have a feeling though that she's still in the beginning phase of her story. So let me say this: if you're not already following the No Ideas Original Podcast on Instagram, follow us on Instagram. If you're not following us on YouTube, follow us, like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. On Monday, we have another phenomenal interview. It's not on IG Live. It's actually on YouTube with Chris A. Matthews, who's a relationship expert. He's an LMFT. So this should be a good conversation as well for folks to tune into and be active participants in, and to ask questions and engage with the guests. You know, yes, we have questions prepared, but we also want folks in the audience to engage and ask questions of the guests also. So if you're not following Simone Gordon, her Instagram is the Fairy Godmother Official on IG. Her criteria to contribute is extremely easy. She has a website also that you can go on and access. I believe the website is in the bio of her Instagram handle. Again, if you're not in a position financially to help out and support her organization, if you could support it by sharing, is also helpful. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight to the No Ideas Original Podcast. Zane, Rob, any closing words?
Yo, give, man. It's better to give than to receive. That's all I have.
See?
Yeah. Push it forward. Push it forward. Believe in karma. You do good things will come back into your life. And it might not come back the same way that you initiated it. But either way, that blessing will come back to you eventually.
We'll return. Return to sender, baby.
There you go. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you on Monday. Peace out. Good night.
Peace.
Later.